Hello, everybody. Next, we return to home turf, where we will play host to Arsenal. Kick-off's at 3 p.m, which means that you may have to rush your apple pie and ice cream after luncheon. Dribbling their dessert down their fronts will be the gentlemen of Eyes Up Mother Brown, should you be able to keep down your own lunch. So, Arsenal then. Well, their results have been improving since the turn of the year. In the run-up to Christmas, they lost 8 out of 12. Since then, they've won 8 out of 14. On first glance, that might appear impressive, but a closer inspection shows that the run of fixtures was not exactly amongst the more challenging of lists. Although the first of those 8 wins came against Chelsea, the remainder came against Brighton, West Brom, Newcastle, Southampton, Leeds, Leicester and Spurs. Most teams would be looking at picking up a few points from that lot. More interestingly, the defeats in that spell came against Wolves, Villa and Man City, whilst points were also dropped against Palace, Burnley and Man United. So a bit of a mixed bag all round then. All of that has left them in 10th place at the time of writing, with 41 points from the 28 games they've played so far. That's 5 places and 7 points behind us, which is nice. Daisy, the socially distanced, support-bubbling personal assistant with a beautiful smile, has again been able to take much of the week off to be pampered in the spa, what with our opponents becoming the latest side to have largely given the winter transfer window a swerve this time around. However, before she disappeared in the general direction of the sauna, she did point out that they did make a loan signing, in the form of Norwegian midfielder Martin Odegaard, who, nominally anyway, is on the books at Real Madrid. I say nominally, the player's only made a handful of appearances for the Spaniards, having spent most of his time there on loan from places like Heerenveen, Vitesse Arnhem, Real Sociedad, and now Arsenal. He's already put his name on the score sheet, scoring against Olympiacos in the Thursday Night League, and last week in the latest edition of Some Mothers Do Have 'Em Aka Spurs, the sitcom that keeps on giving. Of course, most column inches around the time of the window concerned the departure of Mesut Ozil. Ozil appeared to be a right barrel of laughs to be about, to the extent that he was actually left out of the registered squads for both the Premier and Thursday Night Leagues, leaving him eligible only for the under-23s. Whether or not this decision was influenced by his decision to decline the invitation to take part in a voluntary 12.5% pandemic pay cut, only Arsenal will know. However, at best the decision was likely to have been the final nail in the player's coffin. Top scorer over all competitions is Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who has 14 in total, 9 of which have come in the Premier League. Now, he was missing from the 2-1 win over Spurs. Disciplinary reasons. That is, he turned up late. This tells us 2 things. Firstly, boss Arteta likes to make a statement. And secondly, Spurs are so rubbish that teams reckon they could leave out their skipper stroke top scorer and still come away with the 3 points. And they were right. Also on 9 goals in the league is Alexander Lacazette, who was named after the small plastic containers of magnetic tape that were once used to record music, the inventor of which passed away last week. Probably. Lacazette's presence at Arsenal may not have happened at all but for a quirk of fate or law. Back in 2017, Lyon had agreed a deal for the player to move to Atletico Madrid. However, Atletico were in a spot of bother and received a 2-window transfer ban for breaking the rules over the signing of minors. Their appeal to the Court for Arbitration for Sport fell on deaf ears, whereupon Arsenal stepped in, paying a fee just shy of £50 million for the player, a record at the time for both clubs. Lacazette was on target from the spot, converting the penalty controversially awarded as Sanchez collided with him after he'd got his shot away. Not that he'll be over-worried. They have injury doubts over 2 players. Saka, thigh, is rated no better than 50-50, having missed out on the 1-0 defeat to Olympiacos on Thursday. Similarly, Willian, calf, is also a major doubt, and he's given only a 25% chance of being available for selection. Let's move on, shall we, to the wild and wacky world of association football. I mentioned Spurs as the sitcom that keeps on giving, and so it continued this week. Apart from the aforementioned defeat to Arsenal and the throwing away of a 2-0 first leg lead to lose to Dinamo Zagreb in the Thursday Night League, we also had the joy of Joe Hart having a bit of a mare on some form of social media. Now, Spurs supporters sit firmly at the bottom of the intelligence league, somewhere below reality TV stars and the bacteria responsible for dysentery. However, and I know footballers aren't exactly noted for their own mental capacity, but I was surprised to see Joe Hart considered that the 3-0 defeat to the Croatians represented job done. It transpired that someone from his social media team had thought that Spurs had actually won 3-0. Cue a massive bout of blame shifting from Hart to land the unfortunate employee in it, all of the while not commenting on how daft one would have to be to actually employ someone stupid enough to believe Spurs might actually win a game 3-0. Meanwhile, from the it looks a little bit like football but is vastly inferior to the real thing leagues north of the border, it seems that Celtic will be refusing to give the traditional guard of honour to Rangers this weekend, because they didn't do it for us last time. Apart from wanting some sort of football mother figure to give both clubs a spanking before sending them to bed before supper, it appears to me that having a guard of honour for winning the Scottish League is a little bit like doing a lap of honour after winning your parents' egg and spoon race in your kids' school sports. Only slightly more embarrassing. And so let's move on to us then. There's been much debate over the selection for last week's match, the rumblings being along the lines of we were too negative. Now, I'm not totally sure that's fair on Mr. Moyes. The absence of Fornals was the key to this one. Had he been available but left on the bench instead of Noble, those rumblings might have had a point. However, whenever we've seen Benrahma start a game previously, he's struggled to make much of an impact on the game. Those occasions when he had looked dangerous have invariably come following his introduction from the bench. Given the unavailability of Fornals and Lingard, the choice then became one of Noble or Benrahma. And given that Mr. Moyes sees Benrahma every day in training, and given Benrahma's lack of prior impact from the start, I'd give the gaffer the benefit of the doubt on that one. That said, it's fair to say we didn't really do ourselves justice, and it never helps when you do all the goal scoring for your opponents. Rice was his usual imperious self against a club who will no doubt be sniffing around him in the summer, despite the fact he's far too good for them. Fabianski had a fine game too, reminding us why it's so important for us to keep him fit. On reflection, I think that Lingard's admin absence was key to this one. He'd been instrumental in making us tick from an attacking perspective, and it's good to see him recalled to the England setup. He'll be sent off to England with the same 3-word instruction we give to Declan every time, namely, don't get injured. On the injury front, Yarmolenko, Ogbonna, Masuaku and Fredericks are all inching towards squad availability, though to suggest, as some of the injury sites have done, that there are percentage chances of them making some sort of appearance are about as optimistic as Joe Hart's social media team. Based on what Mr. Moyes said at the pre-match presser, I think expecting side of Fornals might also be hope over expectation. Randolph will also miss out on the bench, leaving us to possibly have both Trott and Martin sitting in the racing car seats again. This may have something to do with keeping the first 11 squad separate from the lower sides due to the pandemic, I suppose, but it's still a little bit odd. And so to the prediction. Well, by my reckoning, we owe this lot one. We've arguably been the better side on each of the last 3 occasions on which the teams have met, and yet we've come away without a single point. The return of Lingard will be a boost, and I think that we have the sort of team that will collectively be relishing this one. I think we have enough in the tank to take all 3 points, and whilst I'd like this to take place by virtue of a decent performance, given the recent history of matches between us, I'd settle for an unconvincing win. It's what they've been doing to us in recent times after all. So with that in mind, I'd like to place the £2.50 that would have gone on purchasing both the Rangers and Celtic squads, just to stop their sectarian whining for once. Not sure what I'd do with the change. I'd like to put it on a home win. Mr. Winston, if you could take a few moments away from counting your Cheltenham profits, please place that sum on a result of 2-1 to us. Enjoy the game.
Hi Chaz, how you doing mate? Declan Rice here. Just wanted to send you a quick video message mate. As heard you had an operation today, so just wanted to send my full love and support to you mate. Massive West Ham fan I hear as well. So hopefully we can keep putting a smile on your face mate by winning, and hopefully we can get a result against Arsenal on the weekend. Rooting for you mate, top man, and see you soon.
Get on the forum at kumb.com. come on you irons.